curtain.
It's
No,
open now.
okay. Well, Corey's not up there yet, is he?
No.
Yeah, I think we'll just go in the front, let him move a little bit. Get some more
How you doing, Mike? Yeah, how are those 8 children?
Good. Basketball season just ended, so now I've got only one sport to focus on, which is lacrosse, instead of 3 of them playing basketball. So
Oh,
it was a nightmare for a few months, but
Yeah.
life will settle down sometime.
yeah, good.
I think it's when I retire, right?
Page 19, I put her there too.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm Corey Ferris, Dean of Students, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's Student Conversation with President Gee. Tonight is about you, our students. We are always eager to hear your ideas and your concerns. We strive every day to make WVU a better place, and it is often your suggestions that help guide us along that path. So tonight, we look forward to hearing from you. This evening, we'll begin with an address by our president, Gordon Gee. Following that, we will welcome Douglas Soul to the stage, who will moderate a student panel as well as take your questions from the floor. I also want to take a moment to thank the Daily Athenaeum and U92 for co-sponsoring this event. U92 is broadcasting this conversation live, and the DA is live tweeting and sharing via Facebook Live. For those listening or watching outside the Gluck Theater, you can submit questions through both media outlets. So again, thank you for being here tonight, and please help me welcome to the stage our 26th president, Dr. E. Gordon Gee.
Hey guys, how are you? Can I come right behind you? Thank you very much. Give our Dean of Students a round of applause. He and his team do a fabulous job. I appreciate it. Sorry it took so long. I've had my hip replaced. It takes me a long time to travel from one place to another, so it's grateful to be here with all of you this evening. So I thank the Dean. I thank those of you here. I thank those of you who are watching live streaming, and obviously this is a new thing for us. Never done this before. And it's something I've wanted to do for some time, an opportunity to just talk with students and get a chance to learn more from you, and an opportunity to really hear from you the kinds of issues that you're confronting. So I spend a lot of time, as you know, mingling with students. I love coming to your events and your programs, your classes, and sometimes even to your bars, as you well know. And I like to talk with you because I believe it's important for me to understand what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what is important to you, and how we can all get along and do better and be better. So that then is what tonight is all about. I want to share some of the initiatives the university has undertaken to improve student life, and later I want you to share with me the issues that are on your mind. So let me begin with a quote that I love. Like what you do, and then you will do your best. This simple but profound advice came to us from Katherine Johnson, a mountaineer who kept trekking toward the stars, no matter how many obstacles blocked her path and obscured her view. Mrs. Johnson, who died last week at 101, was born in White Sulphur Springs, where segregated schooling available for African Americans ended in the 8th grade. Her father moved her family to Institute, West Virginia, so his math whiz daughter could attend high school. By age 15, she was ready to enter West Virginia State College, where she earned a bachelor's degree in mathematics and French. So in 1938, she entered West Virginia University as one of our first black graduate students, and among the first in any Southern public university. Family issues kept her from completing her master's degree, but she later joined NASA. Many of you have seen that movie, Hidden Figures. In the 1960s, she became the first woman pulled from the computing pool, as they called themselves, the computers, to work on another project, landing a man on the moon before the end of the decade. Johnson scaled mountains of oppression by letting curiosity inspire learning and letting learning fuel her unique purpose. So one of the things I want to say to you this evening, and one of the things that I think is most important, is that purpose is our DNA. We are part of America's land-grant tradition, born in the turmoil of civil war to extend opportunity beyond the wealthy and well-connected. Since our creation, we have been helping students scale the mountains that loom between them and their unique callings. For many of our students, the greatest obstacle has been the absence of a well-worn trail to success. Dylan Vest, an honors college political science and French major from Princeton, West Virginia, was not only the first person in his family to attend college, but also the first to travel abroad and even the first to board an airplane. Dylan moved closer to his dream of becoming a Foreign Service officer by becoming our first recipient to receive the highly competitive Thomas R. Pickering Graduate Fellowship from the U.S. State Department. Amina Kunikova always knew her purpose lay in the medical field. But the path to her goals seemed daunting at age 7 when she was living in Croatia as a refugee from the Bosnian War. Now, Amina's father worked as a bus driver, and her mother struggled to find a job and find childcare. School became Amina's refuge. When the family relocated to the United States, she learned English quickly, and within a few months was excelling in her New Jersey public school. Later, as an undergraduate at the University of New Haven, she found her true passion in research, a way to explore the why behind so many biomedical questions. That passion led her to the West Virginia University of Biomedical Sciences graduate program. As a doctoral student in exercise physiology, she is studying how pregnant women's exposure to engineered nanomaterials found in cosmetics, food, and other products affect the cardiovascular health of their children. So, making lives is the purpose that drives West Virginia University. And I hope that it drives each of you to make the most of your educational opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing I can say to you, and that is this, that one of the biggest temptations you will face as a college student is allowing others to define who you are. If you take away one thing from this conversation, I hope it is this. When people tell you who you are, do not believe them. You know who you are. You know where your dreams are calling you. The minute you allow others to define you, you embark on a destructive path leading you away from where you belong. For years, we let outsiders define our university as a party school, for example, and some students lived down to that reputation. Bad behavior from a small number of students had the power to damage our university's reputation and diminish its stature. Because bad behavior hurts students the most, I believe that students themselves do the best job creating a positive campus environment. And students like you have done just that, changing the overall student culture to emphasize working smart and playing smart in true mountaineer fashion. Our rank among the top 1.5% of universities worldwide, let me just say that again. Our rank among the top 1.5% of universities worldwide, according to the Center for World University Rankings, attests to our growing reputation. By encouraging balance and putting academics first, we have seen the credentials of incoming students increase and watched our honors college enrollment boom. Students like you have also helped us move from a high-profile example of fraternity failings to a national model for incorporating fraternity and sorority life into a positive learning environment. This fall, for example, the average GPA among fraternity and sorority members exceeded the overall undergraduate average. Students are also stepping up to protect each other in light of recent events that resulted in the loss of one of our own, as well as injury to another. This campaign could not have come at a more critical time. Through our Would You, and you've seen it out there, would you, ? This campaign we are asking, would you help someone in need? Would you accept the responsibility for saving a life? Students like you are saying yes. Like curiosity, accountability is one of our core mountaineer values. If you see someone is in trouble, do the right thing. Make the call. Our university learned that lesson in 2014 in the most tragic of ways when we lost freshman Nolan Birch to an alcohol overdose at an unsanctioned fraternity event. The documentary Breathe, Nolan Breathe, many of you have seen that, was developed so that we can learn from our past and do better in the future. The Would You materials will help not only West Virginia University, but also other universities around the country to do the right thing. So I strongly urge you to visit safety.wvu.edu. The site contains important resources on hazing prevention, medical amnesty, what to do in case of an active shooter, and more to help you be accountable for your safety. Let me just say one other thing, and that is this. And please, please remember to call your family. Anytime there is an incident on campus or nationally, your parents worry about you, and they want to hear from you. So taking care of each other also means knowing that promoting mental health and well-being is among the greatest challenges facing universities today. Family issues, we know that. Pressures from social media and a certain instability dominating our lives nationally and globally all contribute to the challenges that we face. According to the Center for Collegiate Mental Health, higher education counselors today are treating more students than ever before for mental health challenges, primarily anxiety, stress, and depression. According to a major survey by Cigna, Generation Z, of which many of you are members, the reports are that higher levels of loneliness occur in this particular generation than any other age group. Most tragically, the suicide rate for young adults has risen by 51% over the past decade. Our university cares about each of you. I care about each of you, and giving you the tools to thrive has never been more important. Because mental health is so crucial to our university, we have provided budget enhancement for 5 new positions, a crisis text line, a step care model, and new staff recruitment and retention strategies. Our Cruise Center for Psychological and Psychiatric Services is the hub for the Mental Health Initiative. One of the positions the Cruise Center is hiring is a behavioral health clinician primarily dedicated to drop-in and emergency interventions. The crisis text line, which can be accessed by texting WVU to 741, is part of our increased support for psychological emergencies. The STEP care model enables students to access clinical interventions that meet their need for specialized long-term and short-term care. It involves a more robust partnership with WVU Medicine to develop collaborations and care within student health, the emergency department, and behavioral medicine. So this will all enable us to provide longer, more specialized mental health care for students, and will enable clinical staff to more efficiently and effectively coordinate emergency and ongoing care. The Cruise Center is also partnering with behavioral medicine to develop a Healthy Mind University. Let me just say that again. A Healthy Mind University, a mental health clinic that offers a longer-term and more specialized counseling billed to insurance. But of course, we will continue to provide short-term counseling at no cost to students at the Cruise Center. And we are developing interventions that foster resilience, including adding resiliency-based content to our University 101 courses. Other initiatives include Let's Talk. Let me just say that again in quotes. Let's Talk, a nationally recognized model for walk-in consultation, hours at various on-campus locations that was originally developed by Cornell University, and new programs that teach higher-level coping skills and increase students' connections and support within the university community. So I want you to remember this. On this campus, you are never truly alone. We have students from 55 counties in West Virginia, from 50 states, from 115 countries. We speak 100 different languages, and each of you arrive with a unique viewpoint honed from your own experiences. You have probably never heard of Scottish minister Ian McLaren, but you've probably heard his words quoted frequently, in which he said, "Be kind, for everyone you need and everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Kindness and empathy are especially important as we enter what is sure to be a contentious presidential election campaign, as we all know. Unfortunately, universities reflect the splintered state of America today. Tragically, some campuses have become settings for disruptive behavior. How did this happen? How have we come to a point that we cannot celebrate our individualism for fear that we may tread on someone else's thinking? I encourage all of you to reread Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail. He celebrated individuality and freedom and would abhor groupthink. We need a collision of ideas rather than a narrowing of conversations. Let's make West Virginia University a place where hard thoughts, and therefore strong disagreements, independent judgment, and the questioning of stubborn assumptions can flourish in the environment of greatest freedom. I certainly do not mean that we should accept truly rude or disrespectful or intolerant behavior, but we must find ways to agree and disagree with respect, to let people explain themselves, to defend our own principles calmly and thoughtfully, and occasionally to give ourselves the uncomfortable luxury of changing our minds. If we are to improve our university, our state, our culture, and our world, we must live with sincerity and bend always toward growth and betterment. In closing, I am reminded of our campus read this year, the memoir Educated by Tara Westover. As you remember, she visited our campus. She received only occasional homeschooling from her survivalist parents, but taught herself enough to enter college and eventually earn a PhD from Cambridge University. And education, she wrote, is not so much about making a living as making a person. Stories like Tara Westover's, Katherine Johnson's, Dylan Vest, and Amina Kurakovitz remind me and remind all of us what an education is worth. My hope is this, that you are always able to recognize the value of the education you have received at West Virginia University. I want you to take pride. I want every one of you to take pride in being a mountaineer and in our university's many successes. And as I take pride in your achievements and our shared work to create a vibrant learning culture. As you move forward in your academic journey, define yourself not by your major, but by your mission. When facing obstacles, hold fast to your purpose. When doubt threatens to pull you down, spread your wings and take flight. And know that this great university will always help you soar to your polar star. Saying that, Mr. Dean, I think we're going to have a panel here. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate your being here.
Thank you, President Gee, for those remarks. And we're now going to begin the conversation portion this evening. So at this time, please help me welcome to the stage Douglas Soul, who is the editor of the Daily Athenaeum. Douglas?
I would like to give Dean of Students Corey Ferris a thank you for the introduction, and a thank you to President Gee for taking time out of your day to sit down with us students and answer our questions. I'm Douglas Soul, a senior journalism student and the editor-in-chief of the Daily Athenaeum, West Virginia University's independent student newspaper. I will be moderating the panel discussion this evening, but I won't be alone on this stage with President Gee. Also joining me to ask questions will be panelists Erica, Hannah, and David. They have individually crafted questions to ask of Mr. Gee, President Gee, And I really do appreciate their contributions to this panel, and I appreciate you each taking time out of your own evenings to talk with us. You'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, Erica?
Hey everyone, my name is Erica Fontaine. I am a senior strategic communication major. I'm from Gaithersburg, Maryland, and I'm also on the W gymnastics team.
Hey, hey everybody, my name is David Lobb. I'm a senior studying biology and English literature from Martinsburg, West Virginia. I was a 2016 Foundation Scholar, I was a 2019 Newman Civic Fellow, and just recently I was named one of the DA's most influential of 2019.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah El Barawi, and I'm an international student from Egypt. I'm actually a junior, majoring in poli-sci and minoring in women, gender studies, PR, and sociology. I also work for the DDEI office, and I'm a student ambassador on campus. Oh.
Well, thank you all for joining us, and a little housekeeping. For those if you're not here, that doesn't mean you can't be a part of this discussion. We're currently live streaming this on the DA's Facebook page and providing live updates on Twitter. And U92 is broadcasting this on the radio. The DA's Instagram page will be posting pictures from this event following the completion of the event. During the discussion, for a chance to have your question asked to President Gee, email your question to danewsroom@mail.wvu.edu or comment it on our Facebook Live video or tweet it at us. After the panelists up here ask questions of President Gee, we will be taking questions from you in the audience, and we will also be turning to some of the questions submitted to us online. Over the past week, the DA asked the university community for questions and topics to address with President Gee. We received an outpouring of feedback, and due to our limited time here tonight, we will not be able to get to all of the questions submitted. Nevertheless, the DA will present these very important questions to President Gee and other university leaders, and we'll share their answers with you in the DA's upcoming Monday's paper. In addition, some of the questions alerted the DA to serious topics that, instead of asking a single question to the university about, we would like to instead pursue through our investigative reporting team. The people who asked such questions should receive emails from our reporters later in the week. Following the conclusion of this discussion at 8:30 p.m., there will be a post-panel programming conducted by U92, and there will be a Mountaineer Maniac-sponsored watch party at 9 p.m., which will display the men's basketball game against Iowa State University. There will also be food and prizes, courtesy of the Mountaineer Maniacs. So I guess to begin this panel, I'll break the ice here on the stage. President Gee, following the 2 shootings in Morgantown this past weekend, you said in a campus-wide email that the university will redouble its efforts to ensure the campus is the safest it can possibly be. What specifically will be done in this redoubling of efforts?
Well, first of all, let me just say that, in 40 years as a university president, the hardest thing that I have to do is to call parents, write parents about their children, their students, when accidents have happened, when death has occurred. And so this is something I take very personally. And I said that in my message to the campus community, that this is a very personal issue for me. You know, we take safety very seriously at this institution, always have, and we will continue to do so. But as with anything, we have to learn from what happened. You know, you do a postmortem. We have a SWAT team that sits down. What did we learn? What are the things that we are doing right? What are some of the problems that we've discovered? Why did this occur? As you know, in a large campus and in a university community, we cannot make certain that everyone does exactly the right thing, but we can certainly put things in place to make certain that people are motivated to do the right thing, and that's what we're trying to do right now, including obviously taking a look at how we manage our residence halls, the kind of access that we provide for students to be able to come and go in various buildings and sections of the university, and then working very closely with Morgantown Police. We have a wonderful police department, UPD. The University Police Department is probably the best police department in the state, and I don't say that without a lot of pride, because they do a wonderful job, and so they are very much taking a look at all of the various issues that we can do to improve safety. But let me just emphasize one thing, and I will say this, and this is not meant to be anything other than saying it. We have one of the safest campuses and one of the safest communities in the country. So safety is a primary concern. We've been very successful at it. When these kind of tragedies occur, we learn from them.
And following these recent tragedies, do you imagine there will be additional portions of the university budget devoted to safety of students?
Well, you know, we put a lot of money, time, energy, effort, and activity into it. And the answer is yes. I mean, anytime that we have to, anytime we need to do something to improve campus safety, we will not take a look at it as a budget issue. We'll take a look at it as something that we need to do.
Thank you. I'd like to.
So my question is actually about athletics, since I'm an athlete. So with the pay-to-play bill that was signed in California late last year, what are your thoughts on giving athletes the ability to profit off of their images and likenesses, especially with W being such a big name in college athletics?
Name, image, and likenesses. We have, that is a raging debate. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think that we in university life have made some very serious mistakes in terms of dealing with student athletes. We haven't treated student athletes like we treat every other student.
Yeah.
With being a student athlete comes representational responsibility and in many times opportunities that many may not have. But also what happens is the fact that the rules tend to limit the ability for students to be able to have outside employment, do some other kinds of things that any normal student can do. So first of all, I think that is a mistake we made. We need to make certain that we make those kinds of student-centered activities available to every athlete. Secondly of all, there was just a study that was done by actually by Gene Smith, who's the athletic director at Ohio State, and which showed that if these laws all came into place, that the likelihood of someone getting anything from name, image, and likeness would be less than maybe $500, and that would be only about 1% of the athletes. So the question for me is maintaining the collegiate model, which you and I think agree is very important. But the second thing is making certain that we have rules that make it possible for you as a student and as an athlete to be treated equitably and fairly. And so that's what we're looking at right now. And we're having this discussion with Congress and a number of other entities.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be with
Yeah.
you. So, okay, so my question is a little bit more based on an experience. I'm an international student, and when I first got here in 2017, I was awarded an international scholarship, like level 3, the last one. And then I was told that if I perform better as I move along, like, you know, for the 4 years, I would be, you know, how you could, like, performance academically, you move to the next levels. And then when I did, and I made it to a list for, like, last year, they were like, because you're an international student, you are locked in the first, like, the 3rd level. And there's not much, like, you can't move to the next or the 3rd just because, like, mechanically, or, like, you have been locked to the, like, you know, the rate. So I just wanted to, it's been a question that I thought about, like, since, you know, freshman year, now I'm a junior. So I just want to, like, see maybe what you think, or, like, what you thought about that.
You know, I'm going to be very honest. I'm not certain that I know why we do that, as a matter of fact. But we do have someone in the audience here who could answer that. Madam Provost? Oh. Yeah. Yeah, so the issue I think is an important one, which is that what you're asking is, if you perform well, why are you locked into a certain level of responsibility? I really don't know the answer, but we'll find that. That's a good question. Global Affairs, if someone is here from Global Affairs that can answer that question, I'd like to know that. But it seems that you ought to be rewarded for a good behavior, right? Good academic behavior. Let me say that, right? Right. David?
Hey, how's it going?
Great. By the way, I hope everyone noticed these wonderful bow ties up here in this thing. It's very cool.
Yeah, Dr. Gee, so my question was a bit about the Caruth Center, and you addressed it in your speech. And I've had the privilege personally of talking to some people at the university who have given me a bit more insight into the inner workings of how we handle mental health here. But I kind of wanted to ask for all the students in the audience and all the students at home. Having spoken with my peers prior to sitting down with everyone today, I kind of got the impression that many perceive the center as overfilled or overbooked and unable to cope with increased demand for mental health services on campus. And so I wanted to ask you specifically what the university is doing to kind of improve this situation and ensure students can receive proper care.
Yeah, you know, David, 10 years ago, the data showed that about 5% of our students on a university campus had some mental health challenges. The number now is 40%. It's just overwhelming. It's due to a number of factors, as we well know, and the new generation, of which you are on the leading edge of it, has a whole different set of issues that they're trying to deal with. Universities have not responded fast enough. The mental health crisis in this country among college students is abundantly clear on almost every campus. I was just reading the Chronicle of Higher Education, the kind of in-house magazine and paper for higher education. It's on almost on every page. We fortunately, of course, have a magnificent academic medical center right here. Dr. Marsh is right there. We have always had very strong psychological services. The Cruise Center was set up specifically for that. But the truth is it is overwhelmed. And we recognize that. That's the reason we're hiring new people, we're taking steps at organizational changes, we're taking steps at peer review, peer evaluation, other kinds of things. But it is, whether we like it or not, you know, I was telling the story to our Board of Governors the other day. My father, if I would have had, you know, if I'd had a disappointment, something that I may have gotten irritated about, he'd just say, get over it. That's not what happens today, nor should it. And I think the fact that we are focused on this issue will, in the long term, be very healthy for the university as our students gain their kind of perspective on health. So we are putting a lot of time and energy into it, but it's going to require, we're behind the curve. It's going to require us a bit of time to catch up, but it's important to do so, and we will.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a follow-up on that, President Gee, between 2008 and 2018, there was a 120% increase in crisis interventions through the Cruise Center. Considering that, do you think...
You mean increase?
Increase, yeah.
Right, I'm sorry.
120% increase in crisis intervention at the Cruise Center. Taking that into consideration, do you think the current level of resources the center has is enough to fit this increase?
No, that's the reason we're putting more resources into it, right, exactly. And we have a plan, we have a real focus on this right now. And we have a number of people meeting. We've come up with additional plans, additional resources, and additional counselors, but also new models that we think will be helpful. Again, one size doesn't fit all. We're a unique campus. We have unique issues, I think, as every campus will say that, but you know, we're in a small state, Appalachian culture, we've got students from all over the world, so we have to deal with all of those in a way that is really focused based upon the priorities that we see, and so we're putting more resources into it, and we'll do so.
Thank you, President Gee,
You're
and
welcome.
thank you to the panelists with your questions. At this point, we will be opening up this discussion to you students. So I believe there's 2 people currently walking around with a microphone. Could you raise the mic if you have the mic? All right, so if you have a question that you'd like to address to President Gee, please wave over the person with the mic. And in addition, we will be accepting online submitted questions. So if I'm looking down at my phone, I'm not sending a tweet. I'm looking to see if there's any submitted questions. So as that mic travels around, does anyone have any questions for President Gee? Start off. Okay, there's one right there. There's a person with the mic. And as that mic is passed down, President Gee, I have a quick question for you, actually. Yeah. You pointed out the bow ties. Where do those particular ones come from?
They came from my office.
Really?
I keep a bunch of them just in case that I get tired of the one I'm wearing that day, you know. So I have a whole bunch of them over there.
So instead of candy, you have just bow ties.
Yeah. If you come over, Doug, you'll see them.
Thank you. So before you speak, if you could tell me your name, major, you're in college, and hometown. If you are a student, if you're not a student, if you could say your position and where you work.
My name is Ryan Ratcliffe. I'm a junior in hospitality and tourism, and my hometown is Beckley, West Virginia. And yeah, obviously I'm a student here. So first off, I want to say thank you. It's very nice to see an administration that's going to be transparent with us and set something up like this. I think that's an excellent sign of success for this university. My question, though, is kind of related to the young lady from Egypt's question, scholarships. I noticed that in the B&E school, and maybe this isn't true for the whole university, but we only have about 100 scholarships available, which sounds like a good start, but considering that we have a little over 3,000 students currently enrolled in that college, is there any plans to maybe step that up a little bit and offer more scholarships or better funding for students to have more success throughout the university?
Great question. The short answer is yes, but I'll also say that we put a tremendous amount of money, resources into financial aid for students, and we think that that's important. So one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is the fact that if you take a look at cost and quality as an equation, quality being here and cost being here, if we were on the New York Stock Exchange, we'd be one of the best bargains in America. We have relatively low tuition compared with most institutions, and our quality is here. So first of all, so that's in some ways a scholarship. But saying that, we know that the issue of the cost of higher education is pressing everyone. That's probably an issue that I hear more than almost anything else, from parents, from grandparents, from students. So we've done a couple of things. First of all, we continue to increase financial aid at the institution. We index it, so we make certain that if we have even a modest tuition increase, that we index that financial aid. The second thing is that, as you know, we just finished a $1.2 billion fundraising campaign. And we're getting ready to launch another fundraising campaign. And a significant amount of that money we raise goes towards scholarships. And those private resources are going to be immensely important for us to be able to sustain the financial growth of the institution, and also to be able to provide scholarships and support for our students. So financial aid is here. We're putting a significant amount of resources there, but in terms of private scholarships and support, we're in the middle of raising a lot of money, and fortunately we have a lot of success in that regard. So you'll see that increase. The Chambers College, by the way, is an important endeavor that we have undertaken, building a new building. The quality of the college is very important to us. It drives a lot of what is happening in the state because of its impact. So we are very cognizant of the need to be supportive, and I appreciate the question.
Yeah, and you're definitely right. I have a couple stats here. We're about $2,000 cheaper than any other university in the surrounding states as far as in-state, and then as far as out-of-state, we're about $6,000 cheaper.
Yeah, actually, you know, we are cheaper out of state, or for out of state students. We are less expensive. I don't want to use the word cheap. Yeah, that's the wrong word. We are less expensive for many out-of-state students than their home state institutions are for in-state students. But you know, the demographics are changing, and with the change in demographics, we have to always be competitive. Our issue as a university in terms of students is a very simple one. Obviously, we start off with safety, and we talked about that. But the real issue for me is what I'd call recruitment, getting the best, the brightest, those who want to come here and achieve, to come and join us from anywhere in the world. And secondly of all, is to make certain you finish the race and you finish it on time. You know, it does us no good, it does your parents no good, it does you no good to come in, have a semester or two, and then not move on. It's really important for you to come here to be successful and then to graduate. And we want you to graduate. We want you to graduate on time. You know, I don't want you lingering. I love you. I appreciate you. I like having all these students here, but get the hell out. You know. And then start paying your alumni dues. No, just kidding you. But I think it's very important for you to know that we are very driven to your success, because when you leave the institution, you're going to see a lot of success for yourself.
And speaking of success, I would like to bring up one of the submitted questions through email. And we actually received a number about first-generation college students. The questions go, how are you and the university working to improve the retention rate and overall success of first-generation college students?
Yeah, Doug, I think that one of the great characteristics of our institution is the fact that we have students who come from a broad base of backgrounds. We have a significant number of first-generation students, and my colleagues will tell you that one of the things that gives me the most pride is when we have commencement. So many parents come, taking great pride in the graduation of their students, but so many of them themselves have never had the opportunity to go to college. So it's a characteristic of our institution that we take great recognition of that. Saying that, first-generation students have particular challenges, so we have now set up first-gen programs. In fact, we were just with at our Board of Governors meeting. We have an office for first-generation students now, and one of the first-generation students came and talked to us about his challenges, but also about the opportunities that he's perceiving. One of the things we also are doing is making certain that we don't have just a limited number of options. We have 500 student groups on this campus. Everyone can find their place at this institution. No one should be lost, and no one should feel lonely. It's just that you have to work at it. But if you're from a small high school, I came from a very small high school, went to a big university, I felt very lonely. And fortunately, I'm gregarious enough that I went out and bought some friends, I guess. I have no idea. But the bottom line is the fact that I know that we have to be very cognizant of that. So we do have specific programs focusing on first-generation students. Another group of students, I'm sorry to interrupt you, another group of students that sort of get lost in the conversations are commuter students. And so we need to focus on commuter students. We do have not a significant number, but we do have a number, and so we need to figure out how commuter students get the full advantage of having a collegiate experience. And so that's one of the things we're also concentrating on.
Thank you. And before I move on to another one of the submitted questions that we have, does anyone else in the audience have a question for President Gee? Oh,
yes, sir, right
over
there.
Who has the mic?
Let's grab that mic.
Oh, who has? Oh, he's walking it over right now.
Yeah, we want you to have one, though.
My name's Hunter Bailey. I'm a senior Forest Resource Management major from Goochland, Virginia.
What major are you? I'm sorry, Hunter.
Forest Resource Management. So we're in the little asbestos-filled building behind your house. But it's no problem.
Thank you. I
So
know what the question's going to be.
Well,
Okay,
no. It's a little trickier than that, I'm afraid. Being a small division over there in Percival Hall, and we are grateful to have a wonderful research forest facility out there on the north side of Cooper's Rock. I don't know how many of you have gotten the chance to visit it. We run a tremendous amount of data through that forest, a tremendous amount of research. And one thing that has recently hiccuped, I guess is a better way to put it, is we were fortunate enough to gain a lease from the state DOF in 1959, 99-year lease to the Board of Governors here at West Virginia University. Upon payment, $1,000 a year, very simple, and all proceeds, revenue made from that resource goes back to the university. However, it seems that we have not paid on that lease, wondering if there's any actions that are going to be made to ensure that resources years into the future after the renewal date in 2058.
I'll be dead by then.
I know.
No, just kidding you. So I'm going to still be around as president. I'm going to stay here forever. But anyway, and they're going to stuff me and put me in a corner. So are you saying that we're not paying on it now?
There is currently no record that we have ever paid.
And we own it?
We do not. We lease it.
Oh, we lease it.
I mean, we have a great, outstanding relationship with DOF.
You have really asked a question that I have no idea about.
It caught us by a little off guard as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, and the provost is standing right here. I'm not going to ask her that question. she'll have heartburn. But but we've been talking a lot with many of our forestry alumni and others, the Kreitz family, the Kreitz family, a number of families that are really interested in seeing how we enhance our forestry program, because it is a unique program, one that, by the way, West Virginia is densely forested, one of the most densely forested states in the nation, and one of the more densely forested places in the world, literally, and we don't really understand that. And so, as to what we're doing with that forest, we'll just find out. If we haven't paid the lease, we'll pay it.
Well, we greatly appreciate it because we love it
That's
up there.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea. That's a great question. Thank you.
And thank you for that question. And I have another submitted question through email. But as I ask you this, if that mic could be passed off to the next person who has a question so we can have kind of an instantaneous transfer, that would be fantastic. So if one of you would want to wave over the person with the mic, that would be fantastic, whoever has the next question. But in the meantime, we have a submitted question from physics student Peter Decker about the coronavirus. He simply asks, how is WVU preparing for the spread of coronavirus?
Well, you know, we have had, first of all, we're blessed to have a great academic medical center, and we have a group over there that has been meeting for some time about any kind of transmitted diseases, other things that we need to be dealing with. I think the answer is we're well prepared, but you know, this is something that's morphing every day. Many of you know my daughter is until today was the Secretary of Health for the state of Louisiana, and I was talking to her about these issues. Dr. Marsh is right here. You know, we want to be very well prepared, but we also don't want to panic. I mean, you know, more people are dying of influenza than are dying of this proportionately any other. So we need not to panic. We need to be prepared, and we do feel like we're very prepared. And of course, with that great hospital, we have ability to be able to make certain that people are isolated or put into quarantine if something like that happens. Clea, you might want to talk about that a little bit more. Can we grab a microphone? This is Dr. Marsh, who's the Vice President for our Health Sciences Center.
So that's an important question. And tomorrow, a group of state leaders are going to go to Charleston to have a roundtable about this. So just for the students in the audience, number one, there's been no cases in West Virginia. And there's been some cases in other states in the country. And so the feeling is that this may well spread. But for most people, this is just a cold, a viral illness. This is a regular cold virus, but it's a certain type of mutation that in some people can make it more problematic because it can affect the deeper parts of the lungs. And as President Gee said, if people get sick, we're ready for that. We're screening people. For you guys, it's really key that you wash your hands. And the recommendation is you should sing happy birthday twice when you wash your hands. And you should wash your hands a lot between your fingers and around your wrists. If you have a cold or if somebody else does, don't go around a bunch of other students. And we are screening people. The masks that some people will wear is not helpful in keeping you from getting the virus if you would be around somebody that has it. But it can be effective in people who have the virus or a cold. And we tend to touch our face a lot, about 28 to 50 times an hour. And so the key is you want to keep your hands away from your face as well, because that's the way you can spread it. The virus can be spread person to person and also can be spread by touching infected sort of things. It sits for a while. And we don't have immunity to it, so it tends to spread, which is what you're seeing. But again, no cases in West Virginia, no panic, you know, good hand washing techniques, elbow bumps, fist bumps, handshakes should be out for a little bit. And ultimately, if you're sick, cough into your elbow, and if you're sick, stay home. And when you feel better, come to school or to work and get your lessons from your teachers.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience for President Gee? Oh, we have somebody right there. If you could stand up and say your name, major, hometown, and year in college, that'd be fantastic.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Christina White. I'm from Morgantown, really far, and I am in Epperly College. I study biology and international studies, and something that I thought was really fortunate that I got to do this semester was the naloxone training, sponsored by SGA. And I wanted to know if the university would be interested in supporting this every semester or every year as a preventive measure in the future.
Tell me again what it was. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
The
Christina.
naloxone training that SGA put on this semester, I don't know if anybody else participated in that, but I did, and I thought it was really cool, and I just didn't know if the university would be interested in supporting that or sponsoring that.
Corey?
So, that's, I think, Dr. Marsh, that's Narcan for opioid overdose.
Do you want me to? So naloxone is the antidote to opioids, and it can be administered via the nose. It can also be administered by injection. It's really important and good that you guys have training in administering this. We have also done this to a lot of first responders because this is a life-saving intervention. And if somebody would be unconscious, of course, call 911. But this is something that you can do in case somebody would have overdosed. So this training, I think, is really important, and we would certainly advocate continuing it through the rest of the years coming up.
So the answer is yes.
Well, and I'll say this isn't the first time the university's offered that to students. I mean, so we periodically have offered that training. I went through it a couple of years ago. So, in fact, I did it in this room here. So it will continue, I'm certain, in the future.
Thank you. And one of the many submitted questions we have is about sexual assault and harassment here on campus. And along that line, last month, Akia Carter-Bosman, a WVU prevention specialist for Title IX and equity assurance here at the university, said in an editorial submission that 1 in 3 female students at WVU will become a victim of sexual assault by the time they graduate, a stat that is even higher for the LGBTQ+ population. What are you and the university doing to help combat sexual assault and harassment on campus and to assist victims of both? And what more can be done?
Yeah, you know, this again is in some ways an epidemic. I think I can say it that way, although I'm not quite certain about the 1 in 3 that 1 out of 1 is too damn many, if you know what I mean. So I'm trying to make certain that I understand the problems very directly. But saying that, our office, Misha Poor, our vice president, that office is working very consistently to make certain that we are very cognizant of the issues, that we're developing training, that we're developing programs within the institution, that we make certain that students understand what they should and they should not do, that we also are very clear that those kinds of fact patterns, those kinds of sexual harassment issues are just not tolerated on our campus. And we're very direct about that. So I think that I can speak for everyone in the university administration and for the Division of Diversity and Inclusion, that we are making certain that as an institution that we are very high profile in combating this at any level within the university.
Okay. And actually back to something that was said earlier about the coronavirus, we actually received a submitted question online about that topic. And the question was, let me get the specific wording out, was related to the absence policy that the university has. And it says, how are 6 students supposed to stay away from class when there are strict attendance policies that university officials put in place?
I think that that's one of the things we're taking a look at right now. You know, obviously, when you have a potential pandemic, you change your policies in order to be able to make certain that you're meeting the needs of the students. And you know, if we have to, if something untoward happens, if we have to move to online courses, if we have to change some of the rules, we're going to change the rules. We're not going to live by today's rules when we have a tomorrow problem. And I think that's what's important.
All right, thank you. And we are running a little bit short on time, so I'd like to finish up with questions from the audience. We have time for one, at most two questions, so if anyone would like to finish it off, do we have a mic to pass around? Oh, one right there. Thank you.
My name is Mariah Martin. I used to work with you, President Gee. I don't know if you recognize me.
I sure do.
How are you doing today?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just came here to see you, honestly, but I thought of a question, so here I am. I graduated with a psychology and criminology degree, but I'm currently an MSW, Master's of Social Work student. As everyone's aware, there's about 7,000 kids in foster care in the state of West Virginia right now. And I'm part of a program called the Healthy Grand Families, where grandparents, it's actually started by West Virginia State University. It's supposed to be in all 55 counties, but it provides training to grandparents raising grandchildren because obviously they're experiencing different struggles. And I was just wondering if there was anything that the university could do to kind of like programs.
Yeah,
I'm not.
you know, this is, and thanks, it's good to see you, by the way. The last time we saw each other was in a bar. No, just kidding you. But Mariah's been a great friend of mine, and I haven't seen you for a while. I'm glad you're doing so well. But you know, this is one of the really sad issues that is a result very often of the opioid crisis. Children are impacted very directly because of the impact of their parents, so it goes to the grandparents. And then in terms of foster care, we do not have enough foster care families. So as a university, we are very embedded with the state in seeing what we can do to be of most help. Obviously through your program, through social work, through a number of other programs, we are really developing strategies, but in the end, we have to combat the crisis, and in the meantime, many of these children are impacted directly, and it's very sad. We have, I know several families that have adopted foster children, and it's, you know, it's a calling up for angels in many ways, and I really admire them for doing so.
The training starts next Tuesday at the Old Suncrest Primary School, so if you
Okay,
want to
great.
stop in, I still have your email, I can send you that
Great, do so, okay?
I will.
Great.
And I did see several hands raised when I asked if anyone had any last questions. Unfortunately, we have hit 8:30. That being said, I'd like to remind everyone that the DA will present the very important questions that we didn't get to tonight to President Gee and other WVU leaders, and we will share those answers with you all in the Monday's paper. If you had a question that you didn't submit through email or social media, please approach me after this ends, and I will jot it down and be sure that it is addressed with the administration. On behalf of the DA and U92, I'd like to thank President Gee, our panelists, and our audience for being here tonight. And be sure to tune in to the post-panel programming on U92. And for those currently here, please stay just a short while longer. You'll be able to enjoy snacks and prizes courtesy of the Mountaineer Maniacs during the 9 p.m. men's basketball game watch party. So thank you all so much for your questions from the panelists and audience alike. And like I said, approach me if you have any additional questions. Beyond that, have a fantastic night. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr.